No, actually, I have everything paid off. And the reason for that is because I come from extreme frugal upbringing and like really poor upbringing. So my idea was just to be debt free. So I don't like to have to carry debt, even though I'm in the business of debt. Sounds funny, but
Welcome, millionaires and future millionaires. You're listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, a show where you'll hear the stories and interviews of everyday millionaires. We'll unveil their decisions, their strategies, and their portfolio allocation. Now to your host, Jace Mattinson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Millionaires Unveiled podcast. This is episode number 419.
This is the podcast where we dive deep into the inspiring stories of self-made millionaires from all walks of life. We are your hosts, Jason Stacy, and each week we uncover the strategies, setbacks, and turning points that led these individuals to financial freedom. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up your wealth building journey, join us as we share the secrets and wisdom from those who have built their fortunes from the ground up. Get ready to learn, be inspired, and take actionable steps towards your own success.
Listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with my dad, Jace Madison, and my mom, Stacy Madden.
Sorry to y'all on being a little off with the releases. We should be all back on track now. Got a little messed up there. Went on vacation to Asia and with the time and everything and release dates and all sorts of little technical challenges as we were in the mountains and a few other things, but I think we got it all sorted out now that we're back. So appreciate you bearing with us through all of that. In the meantime, if you'd like to be on the show, send us an email at millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. We've not had as many sign up through the summer as we had hoped, so we've got to get some more on the schedule here, getting into the last part of summer and in the fall to keep the show rolling. Today, we've got Joseph. He's got a net worth of $7-ish million. Talks about recently kind of possibly likely going through a divorce. So I know that's a topic we haven't broached much on the podcast, but in light of Coldplay lighting up the internet and uniting us all for a few days at the expense of the others who were likely having an affair, unfortunately, this topic I feel like is somewhat relevant for a lot of people and sadly in a lot of cases, but Joseph's pretty open about it and gets into the nitty gritty and the split of stuff and what that looks like, how he's approached his finances. He's in the mortgage business and has been for a while, been an entrepreneur, kind of business owner, and has pretty much all of his kind of wealth tied up in either real estate homes, for himself, primary residence, and his business. So, going to be a great episode with him. And without any further delay, let's get right into it with Joseph.
Joseph, do you want to just give us about your background and what you're up to now?
Yeah, Joseph Shalaby. I'm the founder CEO of eMortgage Capital. We're the number one broker in the state of California, number one non-delegated lender in the country. We did about $5 billion last year. We're on track to do about $6 billion this year. We got about 900 loan officers nationwide. I'm also the host of the number 21 entrepreneur podcast on Apple and Spotify. It's called Coffees. That's Coffees with a Z. Coffees for Closers. You can find that on anywhere where you find your podcast. Got a book coming out. Also got a couple million followers on social media. Number one personal brand in the mortgage industry. And just on a trajectory to continue to dominate and grow.
Sweet. So we basically have a celebrity on the podcast today, which is pretty awesome.
Hardly.
We're gonna get into all the
data for grinding.
We're gonna get into all the details of where you've come from and get into the business and aspect and whatnot. But before we do, what's your net worth today?
Just went through divorce. So in the state of California, it's not 50-50. It's like 80-20. So I don't know, maybe around 5 or 6 million, 7 million, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay. And how is that?
Yeah, probably about 7 million.
Okay, and how is that allocated? How is that broken up? How do you think about your asset class?
It's all. I mean, without including my business, because my business could be worth anywhere from 500 million to $1 billion. I don't know, but it's worth $0 actually. For the record, let me just add that. Just in case certain listeners, it's $0. But it's all basically real estate. I just have all real estate holdings, liquid real estate.
And is that mainly single families, or do you have some multifamily in there too?
No, that's a couple offices, and then my personal residence, and then another rental property, and then my other personal residence. Well, actually, I have 3 personal residences. So yeah, it's all houses that I, basically live in
Okay.
or
Okay.
sometimes live in.
Sometimes you're in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go back. I guess being in the mortgage industry, I would imagine you've got mortgages on everything, right? Or do you have any paid off?
No, actually, I have everything paid off. And the reason for that is because I come from extreme frugal upbringing and like really poor upbringing. So my idea was just to be debt free. So I don't like to have to carry debt, even though I'm in the business of debt. Sounds funny, but the way the mortgage industry works is very cyclical. So like I've been through many cycles of success, and to avoid potential catastrophic collapse in the mortgage industry, which has happened twice in my career, I've just decided to, when the times were good, just to basically pay everything off. I don't like to carry a mortgage any debt actually at all.
Wow. So let's talk about that for just a second, if you don't mind. Did you kind of have that mindset from the very beginning when you first bought your first primary residence? Was it, I'm going to save up and pay in cash?
When I
Was it as fast as I
when I
can
bought my
pay it
first
off?
primary residence, my goal was to pay off my mortgage. Then when I was in a position to pay off my mortgage, I paid it off. I'm
Wow.
like, oh, this is great. Yeah, and then I did it again, and then I'm like, kept saving. I just always decided to put my liquid cash into real estate because I live in Newport Beach, California. It's like the most expensive place besides like Manhattan in New York. And if I had a mortgage, which I wish I got actually, because when I bought my house cash, the rates were 2.5%.
Crazy,
So
right?
rates are 7%. If I didn't know what I didn't know, I just didn't want to have debt. But thinking back, I'm like, a $20,000 mortgage payment doesn't sound that bad now, since like it's a $6 million house. But at the time, I bought it for 3.7 million, and I was like, I should have mortgaged it. I just wanted to be debt free. I didn't want, if the market collapsed, I didn't want to have a $20,000 monthly payment, and I had no idea that the rates would go to 7% from 2.5. And now savings accounts pay 5%. So I would be better. I would basically be borrowing below free. Like 5% is free. I would have got the money at 2.5%. Basically, I would have gotten paid to borrow 2.5%. You know, so
So let's talk about that. It's an interesting point you bring up, the math versus the psychology, because the psychology in your mind, being frugal and having everything paid off, you like that feeling, and you've chosen kind of that path, which helps you sleep at night and kind of probably de-risks your life in some respect, given that you're in the mortgage
yeah,
industry, seeing the collapses. But it sounds like when the math works out properly, you'd rather probably be on the other side, or potentially, in hindsight's 2020, right? As we're discussing this, but it's kind of interesting hearing from a guy of your stature, your success level in the mortgage
yeah,
industry, say, I want to be debt free. However, dot, 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 dot.
yeah. I mean, listen, hindsight's 2020. I didn't know what I didn't know, but one thing, because I'm still like an elite salesman, is I like to have peace of mind when I'm doing business. And sales is all psychology. So when I'm in a good mental state, like I'm at peak performance, and when I'm indebted or I owe debt, like I just can't operate as well. So I chose the path to just be debt free, be liquid, and as long as I'm liquid, I'm able to like sell with certainty and kind of continue on with my success trajectory.
Yeah, it's interesting. When did you pay off that first property that you bought? I guess how old were you when you bought your first one, too?
Oh, I mean, so that's when I bought my first house when I was 25 in Newport, and then I lost it at like 29, so, or 28. So I went through like a foreclosure, and that feeling was just like devastating, to like lose your baby. So I was like, I promised myself I wouldn't deal with that again. I actually didn't get foreclosed on by the bank though. I got foreclosed on by the HOA because I threw too many parties.
Oh my
At
gosh. Yeah, I
at
want to hear this story.
so the HOA would fine me all the time for being too loud or throwing parties all the time at my house. So I ended up accruing so much debt with the HOA and fines that they just decided to foreclose on me.
And
It
you
wasn't even the
weren't
bank.
paying the fines.
I wasn't paying the fines or the HOA.
Oh man.
So I basically, got destroyed by the HOA. But but I was still effectively in foreclosure with the bank. So they took on that note. Yeah, it was a tough time. That was the mortgage collapse. I mean, I lost everything. I lost my company, had to pivot, and I just so when I got married at 31, I was able to pay off my house by about 35. And
Okay.
then it was just like boom. Company took off, and you know, when I moved into Newport, I had enough money to buy cash. I bought my condo cash and Carlsbad, and then the current, and I still actually, yeah. Once my divorce is finalized, I'm gonna get a new property, which will be finalized in the next day or two.
Is that a getting a new property because you've got to go get one new one, or is that a hey, I'm ready to kind of close that chapter and start a new chapter?
Yeah, I'm ready to close that chapter, start a new chapter. Got a
I
new
gotcha.
property.
Okay. So let's back up to the beginning. Graduate high school. Did you go to college at all?
I did, yeah.
Graduate
Santa Barbara.
college, and then did you start in the mortgage industry or start a company right out of college?
Right out of college, I started in the mortgage industry. And my path to starting a mortgage company was I started one because, and this is actually in my book, I talk about this, but when the collapse happened, it was just a bunch of shysters in the industry, right? And the guy I worked for, the first guy I worked for, ended up just taking my money at frequently. Like he would just mess with the commissions. He kept a bunch of my commissions, and I was like, this is just such a shisty business. I'll just go get my own license and do my own business. I was basically forced to start my own company because I was just sick of being taken advantage of and ripped off. A guy by the name of John Piparato just took advantage of me on several occasions. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to go start my own mortgage company. The barrier to entry can't be that hard. Look at the guy who owns it. So, and look who he's employing. So it can't be that difficult to become a mortgage broker owner. So I decided, and it worked. Actually, I was right. The barrier to entry worked out perfectly. All you need to have is a college degree, complete 8 courses, take a test, and boom, you're a mortgage broker. I'm like, this is great. I could take the 8 classes. I'm fresh out of college. I'm used to going to school anyway. And then just take a test. So I took some time off after he took like $25,000 that I worked for months. And then I just got my broker's license, started my first company in 2005 called Primetime Financial Consultants. And then the rest is history. This company I started in 2011 after the collapse. After that, I lost that company. In 2008 to 2011, I pivoted from the mortgage industry to the loss mitigation sector, which is basically kind of like the opposite of mortgages. I was saving people from foreclosure. So I was able to actually stop foreclosure on my house for so long because I was in that space. So I knew what it took.
Okay. When you started that first company in your mid 20s or early 20s?
Yeah, I was early 20s, like 23, 24.
Did you see '08 coming at all, or did that kind of hit you out of
No,
left
it was
field at
like
that
printing
age?
money. You're in your early 20s making $40,000-$50,000 a month, living like a dream, thinking like you're just going to sail off into the sunset. My only expense was my mortgage. Life was easy.
And then all of a sudden, bam, lose everything in a
All of a
matter
sudden,
of how
every bank
quick?
started going out of business, you're like, how is this happening? I can't fund any deals. Like the industry just collapsed in front of my eyes. A whole industry collapsed. It's like crazy to think about.
How quickly did that happen for you in your business that you went from zero or from hero to zero, basically?
It happened in a matter of a few months. I mean, I literally went to
Wow.
0 income. I had to find but I'm a entrepreneurial mindset. I was pretty well connected, and that just kind of shows you the power of like community and collaboration and having like deep networks. So Newport Beach is a pretty affluent community. Lots of entrepreneurs here. So I was always out just kind of meeting people. And through like nightlife at the time, I was like heavily involved in nightlife. I was able to meet some people that just introduced me to a whole new business strategy. And then I went all in and I built another massive company. My first really big company where I had like, 15,000 square feet, floors of people, lots of vision, had an offer to buy the company, turned it down because I was stubborn. 10 million bucks. I'm like, oh, this company's going to go to 100 million. That company ended up going out of business. Um, you know, but I got an offer to buy it. But I was so pompous. I was like, I'm going to blow this company up. People were working for me from all over the place. And it was a great learning lesson. I was able to pivot immediately while that company was folding because of hyper regulation into the mortgage space again, because the industry was coming back. Banks were starting to lend again. There started to be a lot of options in the mortgage space again.
Yeah, talk to us about, what was it, 3 years maybe you were in that other industry. What kind of gave you the confidence to go build back? Was it the fact that banks were just lending again and you knew it really well, or was it the timing? Or
Yeah,
because
like
11
I
wasn't
started off
like
the licensing.
booming again, yet either, at least not in most parts of the country.
Yeah, 2011 was like a product had come out called an FHA Streamline. It was a really, really unique product niche where I was able to just do a mortgage without having to do anything. I was able to basically get a couple pieces of paperwork, fund the loan. I had a friend named Sam Solomon who owned a bank. He owned a mortgage bank, and he's like, "Yeah, come work here." He gave me an office. He gave me a whole team to work with. Like, it was a godsend. And I just started utilizing my marketing. I've always been a great marketer. Started utilizing my marketing strategies, and was able to immediately pivot into a whole new business back into mortgages with a product that was really easy to sell and create. And I just started, boom, within like 2 months, because I had left my other business while running a mortgage company, but that business I had to wind it down and it had a ton of debt on it. So I had to pay back a couple $100,000 to this other business, meanwhile, start a new business and build that back a whole new company. So I wound down it was a law firm that I started that I technically didn't own. I just employed a bunch of attorneys. So I was like a managing director. I wound that law firm down. I had a lease where I basically owed like 50 grand on. And then a bunch of employees and payrolls, etc. Wound it up and pending litigations. Had to deal with a bunch of legal stuff because it was loan modifications and they were starting to get hyper regulated and they were trying to come up with all types of new things to shut those businesses down. So I basically created a whole new company while I was winding down another company, and it was an absolute nightmare to get it all done. And so my back was against the wall to perform and bring in a ton of money in a very short period of time. I brought in like $250,000 myself in like 60 days, paid everyone off, got my feet back, went through another, collapse. So in a period of 3 years, so that totally collapsed. So I had to build back. This time I'm building back better. So I ran the retail department for this lender, and then and then I just created the DBA of eMortgage. I had it on the kind of the sideline, and then I ended up starting eMortgage Capital in 2015, 4 years after I worked at Pacific Bank. So it was a journey in those 4 years before I went big and started my own big company.
And that's the one you're still working on today, correct? So you've had that for 14 years or so?
eMortgage Capital. Yeah, so it was eMortgage. I incorporated it as eMortgage Capital in 2015. So, yeah, we've had it about 14 years. But from 2011 to 2015, it wasn't much business going on because I was still working at another company, kind of creating the infrastructure.
So essentially, in terms of back then, it wasn't this, but today, you basically kind of had this side hustle company that you were building, trying to build up while you're still working. 2015, is that when you went full time with it?
Yeah, I went big full time 2015.
What was it in 2015 that gave you the confidence to kind of make that leap at that point?
I was fiscally capable. Still, like, people didn't want me to do it. My wife at the time was like, "No, you're fine. You don't need to start your own company again. You're good working for someone else." But I've always been like a dreamer, and like I'm still a dreamer. So like I was like, "No, I'm gonna go all in." I kind of have I'm ready to do this. But I had a great cush position before where I was still making a ton of money. no rent, no everything was paid for. But I, decided to go all in on myself, which I still do. Kind of crazy like that still.
Yeah. Talk to us about kind of that transition and building things up from 2015 through now. I mean, we obviously had kind of the boom of post 2015 through, call it a couple years ago in the mortgage industry, where you guys were probably doing more volume than, year after year after year, because, mortgages were super cheap and people were selling like crazy and moving like crazy, and going through kind of the slowdown up to today, if you don't mind.
Well, we're not seeing it. I mean, we're going to do more business than we did in 2021 this year. We did more business than we did in 2020 last year. So for us, like, volume is definitely picking up, not going down. But we have more people. Per LO count, per funding per LO has gone down, but we're grabbing market share. So we're like a saving grace to mortgage companies. But our whole model is, we're in the business of making businesses. So when I started my model, it was this. It was, I'm going to be a superstar performer, and I'm just going to bring in other people to just emulate me. I didn't ever imagine it would be like this big. I was just like, I'm going to always perform, and whatever revenue I bring in, it'll just be cheddar, you know? So, like, because I only charge these people 10% or 15%. My volume, I'm going to bring in my own 100 grand a month, and these guys, I'll make 5, 10 grand a month. It wasn't until literally like 2 years ago that I stopped doing my own business. I still do a couple transactions here and there, but I didn't take my foot off the gas, where I let go of, like, the cheddar ended up being my main revenue stream, I always had that mindset, like, I'm going to perform. I'm a good salesman. I'm going to bring in all the deals myself. Like, I don't need anybody. I kept that mindset. Like, I didn't focus on all the other money coming in from other people. I just kept focused on my performance, my daily production, my daily KPIs. And I still have daily KPIs. I just, instead of like it being a sale of a mortgage, individual consumer mortgage, I'm just like, how many loan officers did I bring into the organization today? How many branches did I bring in? How many states did we add? How many, how did I grow the company today? How many videos did I put out? How many views did we get? How many impressions did we get as a company? All the KPI measurements are different.
Yeah, for sure. So at this point, where do you go from here? Do you have kind of that target goal of growth and size of your company? Do you have KPIs out there 5, 10 years that you're trying to achieve to?
Yeah, so my goal is to get to 1 billion a month in the next year. So that's gonna take probably like 500 more people. But more importantly than that, my goal is to optimize the performance of those who work within our existing ecosystem. So we have like a ton of new lead strategies we're rolling out, tons of new marketing, tons of new AI implementation that we're helping our loan officers utilize to get more business. So my goal is to grow the company, but to also grow the performance of those who work within the organization. So that's kind of like the idea for us right now.
And at this stage in your life, with everything essentially paid off, and I know you mentioned going through the divorce, but how do you think about your global asset allocation going forward? Do you continue to buy kind of paid for properties, or put everything back into continuing to try to grow the business? Or how do you kind of take chips off the table, or do you?
Uh, well, right now, I mean, real estate's gonna be like for me, it's just my personal stuff. Like, I'm getting more involved in like crypto investments and just real estate still. It'll be like crypto and real estate. Crypto, there's a lot of money to be made in the crypto space that's just not being, it's just being overlooked here in the US. It's not nearly at the capacity, and it's just trillions of dollars being left on the table. But our president knows the value of it. That's why he has 3 coins.
That's awesome.
So he's a visionary. He's always been my role model since I was like 11 years old.
Yeah. How do you, over all these years in growing the income, growing the businesses, how have you thought about, increasing lifestyle and doing different things with the cash flow that's come in, or have you increased your lifestyle at all?
No, I mean, like, I have a pretty, like, I know I like real estate, and God gave me a lot of money. but I try to keep a servitude mentality. So I do a lot, like I like just to do God's work, to serve the church, like, and do whatever I can with my talent to just like help my community. I'm Coptic Orthodox, Egyptian Orthodox, so I'm pretty involved in my church, my community, my faith, my kids' faith, all the activities for my kids. So I'm super involved as a dad. I'm like an Uber driver all day long for my kids. So I like to stay hyper involved in my kids and their activities, and helping them like just get better. Whether it's they're all in like 3 sports, 4 kids, it's 12 sports. Like I gotta be at or try to be at.
Yeah.
When we started Millionaires Unveiled, we had no clue how many hats we'd wear. Producer, marketer, editor, designer, and that's not even touching the business side. If you're starting something of your own, a product, a brand, maybe even your own podcast, you know how overwhelming it can feel. But that's why millions of businesses, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to those just getting started, rely on Shopify. Shopify is more than a website builder. It's your built-in business partner. They've got hundreds of stunning templates, AI tools to help you write product descriptions and headlines, and easy marketing tools to run social media and email campaigns like a pro. And if you're wondering, what if I get stuck? Shopify's 24/7 support and deep e-commerce know-how have your back. Whether you're selling apparel, coaching, or even launching a podcast like ours, if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into an actual business with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/unveiled. That's shopify.com/unveiled. And thanks again to Shopify for supporting today's episode.
Is there anything in particular that from a lesson standpoint that you try to teach your kids or instill in them at their ages that's helped you be successful?
Yeah, I mean, like I always try to instill grit in my kids, like make sure they're working, make sure they're understanding the value of hard work, money, what it takes to make money, kind of like planting the seeds of the entrepreneurial spirit in them now. Although, like, my goal is for them to all go to med school. Like, whether or not that's going to happen, that's great. But med school is like the baseline. You're not going to live in Newport Beach being a doctor. Like, you need to own the practice. You need, like, someone told me one time, is like, he sold a company for billions of dollars. His dad always wanted him just to be once you get your medical degree, you can do whatever you want. And that's kind of my mindset for my kids. Like, whenever you get your medical degree, then go start whatever you want. That's the idea I'm going to try to instill as best as I can. But reality is like, and that's why I want them like to finish high school really early. I finished high school at 15, 16. So I'm going to try to probably put them on that same trajectory. Their cousins are doing that. So I'll probably make all my kids do that. And then just like finish college at 18, 19. And then grad school, hopefully like 22. And then they could figure out, am I starting a business? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? But yeah, like we come from, we're pretty rigorous with our church schedule. So church is really important. So I don't like to travel too much right now, especially now being divorced. Like we did family vacations. Now it's like, I don't need to do that so much. It's a big waste of time. It throws me off my routine. And like with the curriculums that I have them in, like I don't need to. They live at the beach already. It's like you live in a vacation. You have all these extra vacation opportunities here. You want the beach? Go surf down the street, or come to my other house where when I'm in my personal bachelor house, it's on the beach, like, so, like keeping them on their church regimen, keeping them on their school regimen, keeping them on their athletic regimen and then my own daily workout routine and health routine, it's a lot to kind of like juggle.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's wrap up with
You
some
got 5 kids, you get it.
Oh yeah, I know. It's a wild ride.
I don't know how you golf 5 kids.
I take one of them with me.
Yeah, you got. I took my kids to. Yeah, yesterday I went. I'm in a basketball league and I signed them up for skills shooting, and I took all 4 of my kids, my 3-year-old, my 5-year-old, my 10-year-old, my 11-year-old, all of them to the shooting spot. Like everybody came. Thank God they got the gamified shooting opportunities. So anyway, yeah, I try to take all of them.
Hey man, I get it. It was only about 2-3 weeks ago. My wife was out of town doing a Spartan or a Ragnar relay or whatever, and I play basketball. 6 a.m. on Saturday mornings. I got all 5 up and dressed and to the gym so I could play.
Yeah, how old are yours?
7, 5, 3, and 1-year-old twins.
Yeah, there you go. So none of them are playing basketball, probably except maybe the 7-year-old. But
No, she's not as into it. My 5-year-old he likes it, but he can't play with grown men. He's too small.
Yeah.
He plays with his buddies when he plays. But I
Yeah.
get it, Well, Joes, let's wrap up with some rapid fire questions. What's the most expensive pair of shoes or pants you purchased?
I did this. I bought one pair of shoes during my divorce because my ex-wife was buying a bunch of Hermes shoes at the time. I'm like, why do you have all these Hermes shoes? So I bought some Hermes sandals, $1,000. I was like, this is the biggest waste of money. Don't really wear them, biggest waste of money. But yeah, $1,000. What was the other question?
Or pants, but maybe it's shoes that were most expensive for you.
Yeah, pants. I mean, I shop at Men's Warehouse. Like these were like, and I, how Men's Warehouse works. Like they were $60. The other pair was half off. So $100.
Okay. All right.
I wear $40 pants, like all my shirts, because I have a podcast too. And I get to connect with all the CEOs of every company. And I don't buy anything unless it's like half off. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. I mean, down to my shoes. I mean, I only wear Nike, Nike.
Yeah.
I'm
What
not
about the
fancy.
What's up?
I'm not a fancy shoe guy. Are you a fancy shoe guy?
Am I? No, I mean, I buy my Jordans, but I'm not buying.
Yeah, I got a lot of. I love Jordan. Yeah, that was a fluke, and they're just there for decoration.
Good. You got a good story out of them.
Yeah. But I wear my Jordans, and then depending on the workout, these are like more weightlifting. But I prefer to wear Jordans.
Yeah, I'm a daily Jordan wearer. Although I am in Texas, so I do got some cowboy boots. I got a few boots. It's part of the attire. You can't live in Texas without some boots. So or some snake boots for that matter. So
those are expensive.
Yeah, I know. I just bought a pair.
They'll last a lifetime.
They will. What's the most expensive meal out that you paid for?
Wait, meal out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're in Newport Beach, so that can get expensive. That's funny. During my divorce, right after my divorce, so you go through like a dating phase, and I go on a date with a girl, and I'm like, all right, just order. She orders some gold encrusted caviar cones, and I was like, when I got the bill was like, I don't know, $1,500 or something. I forget the bill. I'm like, what the hell did we order? And I see the bill was like $450 or $500 for these like little tiny ice cream cones. I was so pissed. I'm like, she just scammed me. I just got scammed for food.
Did you take her out again?
No, of course not.
Oh, that's awesome. What about the most expensive car?
So it's probably the car. It was an Audi RS Q8. I bought it for $160,000. I sold it back for, ironically, the same amount I bought it for, which is the best thing ever. I didn't know, and I just learned this, that like those kind of premium cars, like Lamborghinis, that was a collectible car. The RS Q8 was also like a collectible, and I just learned this from a podcast guest I had, that ultra high net like value cars, they don't go down. Some of them actually appreciate. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And I realized that's why when I sold my car, I bought it and sold it for the same amount. That's what happened. I have an e-tron GT right now. I'm not a car guy. Once that one, I leased it. When I bought my car, I got all my money back. This lease is like a total. I got hammered on it. As soon as I bought it, a few months later, Elon Musk came out with this new thing on Tesla. All electric cars got cut in half. My car payment's $1,900. It's now like $800 if you want to buy it, or $900 now. New. It's the worst deal ever for me.
All right. How did you make your first buck?
I started working at 14 years old officially. I got my first job. I think you were allowed to be employed when I was young at 14. So I started my first job was at Thrifty. But before that, I was mowing lawns. My first job, Thrifty, scooping ice cream. Got fired from it. Then I went to Chuck E. Cheese, and I was Chucky.
How much do you make at the ice cream place?
$4 an hour.
How much do you make being Chucky?
It was like $6 an hour.
All right, it's got 50% raise. It's gonna be Chucky at Chuck E. Cheese after you got fired. That's a good story. I like it.
Yeah, the best part of my job when I started making real money was when I was $20. I was a theater minor, and I was able to go around house to house and do performances for birthday parties, like Teletubby or Spider-Man or whatever. And that's when I was able to go, and I was able to make good money for my age.
So you dressed up as all the different characters at birthday parties.
Yeah, I did that. Doing balloons and all that.
Okay. All right. Nice. Were you a clown too?
I didn't even put that in. I didn't put that in my book. I should have.
That's a good one. It's on the podcast, on my podcast right now. That's awesome. What's the craziest thing you ever done to earn money? Maybe that might be it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was a party promoter for years, so I threw parties for years, like nightclubs and raves and all types of stuff. So those are like legitimately crazy.
Crazy way to earn money,
Yeah,
but good way to earn
yeah,
money.
yeah, and taught me a lot about being an entrepreneur.
That's cool. What's a key lesson you learned from childhood?
Just serve, do God's work. God always does your work. So servitude has been a big part of my life, even though I didn't want it to be as a youngster, but my parents always just kind of forced me to go to church, to serve, and it's just kind of resonated with me just to always be of service.
What habit has changed the most since you've been successful or became a millionaire?
Discipline. I mean, I'm still working on being more disciplined, but like as you climb the ladder of success and you become more of a public figure or a role model or try to be the best dad you could be, just being more and more rigorous with your discipline and your routine. So always implementing new routines to make me a better person.
What's something you've spent way too much money on but you don't regret?
My health. That's something that someone told me one time. It's like, it doesn't matter how much money you could spend on your health. Like, it doesn't matter. That's something that it could be a bottomless pit. If it's for your health, spend it. So like whatever it takes to get healthier, to get better, to get more fit, like all these random gym passes. I mean, I train 7 days a week. I got 3 different memberships. I got, whatever new thing is out to make me to biohack. I'm like trying it.
Did you start that when you were young or is that kind of evolved over time?
No, I started that in like really went heavy after divorce to get more fit, but I've always spent a lot on my health. But it wasn't until I had on a podcast, someone told me like, it doesn't matter how much money like health costs, like spend it. Health, that's one thing that they learn, and health and education. Whatever it costs for the book, whatever it costs for the education, that's for my dad. He always didn't care. Like whatever the education costs, like I'll pay for it. That's his mentality. I'm the same way with my kids. Like, like I'll pay for whatever education or health for my kids. And that's why I got them in so many sports. And that's why I'll get them as much tutoring or private, studies as possible.
How much do you think you spend a year on your health?
Probably like 50, 60 grand at least. There's been
Okay.
times
So
when I
nothing
thought
crazy.
about it. Yeah. When I first started like my health regimen, I went to a doctor and she put me on all these things and charged me like 6 grand. I'm like, I just spent $6,000 in 1 month. I'm gonna have to figure out how to like cut this bill down. Went to her for a few months, and then I got that bill down from 5-6 grand a month to like 400. So same results.
Hashtag winning. All right. I like it. What's a closely held belief that you once had that you recently changed your mind on?
I thought like I'm not gonna have to work that hard at some point, but I just realized like I just want to keep outworking everybody. Like there is no finish line for me. There's no race to be like the race is over when I'm dead. So like I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep winning. I'm gonna keep grinding. I'm gonna keep outgrinding everybody. There's not like a date of retirement in mind. When that date comes, I'm just gonna keep outgrinding everybody. And that really that spirit of super hard work ethic comes from my dad. He's 76, still works every day, still physician, you know. And I was talking to him today. I'm like, Dad, I'm still, like I was joking. My dad's 76. He just gave everything to his kids, and he still works, still makes like 400 grand a year, but isn't worth anything. Net worth, nada. Like how much is your net worth, Dad? Probably maybe 500-700 grand. I'm like, Dad, I'm still worth way more than you after I lost everything. Like that's crazy to think about. Like you're way smarter than me, way more educated than me. You didn't go through divorce. I'm still 10x your value. But, that's just the way he never was an entrepreneur. Never thought to be an entrepreneur. And he could have been.
Yeah.
But, that's just not how immigrants are wired.
Where do you immigrate from?
I immigrated with him. I'm from Egypt. He's
Oh,
from
cool.
Egypt. But he's, like, he really, like, has a tough accent and all that. And he just relied on education.
Yeah. Any last words of advice for somebody who's just starting out on their journey?
I mean, I know it's cliche, but you just got to outwork everybody. Not only do you got to be, you can't just work. The theory of work smarter, not harder, is bullshit. Don't buy into that. Work smarter and harder. That's the only way to win. And implement. This is very, very important for anybody who wants to win. Late adopters fail. When you learn about it, it's already too late. Be an early adopter. As soon as you find out about something, especially now in this day and age, especially for an entrepreneur because of all the AI, there's an AI application made every second right now. When you learn about something, implement it immediately. Don't wait. If you sit around on the sidelines, someone's already doing it. Be an early adopter.
Awesome. Where can people find you, get a hold of you, learn what you're doing?
Yeah, Joseph Shalaby on every platform. JOSEPH SHALABY on Yahoo. On YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, anything. Hit me up on any platform. And then listen to my show, Coffees for Closers. You could find it anywhere on any podcast. Just Coffees with a Z. It'll pop up everywhere. Coffees with a Z.
Are you sure they can't find you on Yahoo?
They can find me on Yahoo, Google, and
I had to ask.
and
You take me back in
ChatGPT.
the memory bank. It's almost like Skype. We
Well,
just put Skype to rest like a few weeks ago. Microsoft did, but Yahoo, that was like the big thing back in like the early 2000s. All right.
I still use my Joseph Shalaby at Yahoo email,
Oh,
but
there
it's
you
Jody
go. I
Morgan.
knew it. I knew it.
But no, we do publish a lot on Yahoo Finance. So if they go to Yahoo and put me in, all our Yahoo articles will pop up.
Awesome. That's Joseph with a net worth of $7+ million. Thanks for the show today.
Thank you. Yeah, you should hit me up before divorce. It would have been a much greater number. I might go up by the end.
Thanks for listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with Jace Mattinson. For more stories, investment opportunities, and information, check out our website, millionairesunveiled.com. See you next time when you'll hear from another everyday millionaire.